The ocean claims vessels with hurricanes, rogue waves, and crushing depths. But there exists a terror far more insidious, a place where the sea goes utterly, impossibly still, a zone where the wind dies, the waves vanish, and the very air grows thick with an unnatural silence. Ancient charts mark it not as a reef or a maelstrom, but as the circle of eternal calm. And every ship that dared enter this perfect, deadly tranquility simply vanished. The Amazon. Before she became the Mary Celeste, before her name became synonymous with maritime enigma, she was a brigantine of promise, launched in the same Nova Scotian yard. But a dark lineage seemed to cling to her, even in her earliest voyages. In the mid-19th century, sailing a routine passage across the Atlantic, the Amazon encountered not a gale, but its chilling opposite, a zone of perfect, unnatural calm. Contemporary reports, gleaned from scattered maritime archives, speak of this phenomenon. The Amazon was making good time, sails taut, cutting a clean wake. Then, the wind simply ceased. Not a dying breeze, but an abrupt, total surrender. The sails, moments before straining, now hung limp, lifeless. The rhythmic slap of waves against the hull, the creak of timbers, the groan of ropes, all dissolved into an oppressive, absolute silence. The ocean surface transformed into a vast, unbroken mirror, reflecting the indifferent sky with chilling clarity. No ripple, no swell, no breath of air. It was as if the world itself held its breath, wrote one anonymous sailor, recounting a similar encounter years later, his words echoing the experience that likely befell the Amazon. The silence pressed in, heavier than any storm. Captain McClellan, in a fragment of a logbook later recovered from a salvaged cargo manifest, noted the extraordinary conditions. 300 hours. Wind entirely vanished. Sea flat as glass. Compass erratic. Needle spinning without cause. Air grows thick. A palpable weight. His entry, scrawled with a frantic hand, described a crew unsettled. Their initial relief at escaping a storm turning to a profound, instinctual dread. The ship became a tomb, adrift, in an impossible stillness. The quiet amplified every internal sound, a heartbeat, a whisper, the distant frantic scutter of a rat below decks, each sound an intrusion in the suffocating void. Days bled into an eternity. The sun beat down, turning the deck into an oven, yet the air remained heavy, motionless. There was no current to push them, no breath to fill their sails. They were suspended, a forgotten speck on an endless, featureless expanse. Then the entries cease. No final distress, no indication of fire, no collision, just an abrupt end. The Amazon was last sighted by the schooner Sea Serpent on a clear afternoon, a silent painted ship upon a painted ocean, dead in the water. When the Sea Serpent, delayed by its own minor repairs, sailed back through the same quadrant 3 days later, the Amazon was gone. No wreckage, no debris, no trace. She had not foundered in a storm. She had not been dashed on rocks. She had been erased by the very absence of chaos, swallowed by the unnerving embrace of the circle of eternal calm. This is not merely history, it is a crime scene where the ocean is both the perpetrator and the silent witness. Join our investigation. Like this video and subscribe to our channel to uncover more maritime mysteries that defy explanation. The vanishing of the Amazon was not an isolated incident. For centuries, long before the perfection of the compass or the filling of global charts, mariners whispered of certain oceanic regions, places marked by an unnatural, profound stillness. These were not the fleeting doldrums, but persistent, malevolent calm zones, where the very fabric of the sea seemed to seize. Ancient charts, often hand-drawn and fiercely guarded, bore cryptic warnings, sometimes mere blank spaces, sometimes scrawled annotations like, "Here the wind sleep," or "The water forgets." These were the dead zones, places of unmarked dread that haunted the edges of the known world. The most infamous among these was the region later christened the Circle of Eternal Calm. Its name, whispered from Lisbon taverns to Asian trading posts, spoke not of peace, but of a silence that consumed. Early accounts, fragmented and often dismissed as sailors' superstitions, spoke of ships sailing into these mirror-smooth expanses and simply never returning. A 15th century Portuguese pilot's log, rediscovered in the dusty archives of Lisbon, cryptically advises, "Avoid the mirror waters, where God's breath fails and ships become stone." Another, a monastic chronicle from the 12th century, describes a Viking longship, the Sea Wolf, caught in a liquid sky that swallowed the sun, its crew last seen motionless as statues, staring at naught. Days later, search parties found no wreckage, no bodies, only the same unnerving, glassy surface where the Sea Wolf had been. It was as if the ocean itself had decided to reabsorb the vessel, leaving no trace. These were not merely tales of misfortune, these were consistent patterns of disappearance, distinct from the ravages of storms or the depredations of pirates. The victims were not dashed, not burned, not plundered. They simply ceased to exist, their absence a silent testament to a force the seafaring world could neither comprehend nor combat. The circle of eternal calm was understood to be a place where the rules of the ocean, and perhaps of reality itself, were suspended, a void that swallowed not just ships, but their very memory. Among the most disturbing phenomena reported by the few who skirted the edges of the circle of eternal calm, or by those whose vessels were briefly snared by its periphery, was an unsettling sense of physical pressure. Not the crushing weight of deep water, but an omnipresent atmospheric density, as if the very air itself was solidifying. Consider the log entries of the merchant schooner Nautilus, dated 1888. Captain Elias Thorne, a man known for his meticulous record-keeping and staunch rationality, described an encounter that would chip away at his composure. August 14th, 0700 hours. Becalmed. Most unusual, no breath of wind for 12 hours. Sea perfectly flat like polished lead. Sun oppressive, 0900 hours. Peculiar sensation. Air thickens. Not humidity, but a palpable weight. Breathing becomes labored. Crew report general unease, a tightness in the chest. Cook complains of ringing in his ears, says the silence is too loud. 1100 hours. Pressure intensifies, like a giant hand pressing down on the ship. Timbers groan, not from strain, but as if compressed. Compass needle now spinning wildly, no discernible north. Chronometer stopped at 10:37. Attempted to restart, no effect. Voices sound muffled, distant, even when spoken close, a profound disorientation setting in. Thorne's subsequent entries become more erratic, the handwriting less steady. He noted crew members becoming lethargic, some reporting vivid, unsettling dreams even when awake. Others claim to hear distant, non-existent sounds, the phantom creak of ropes, or the whisper of unfamiliar voices on the still air. The pressure was described not just as a physical sensation, but as something that bore down on the mind, stifling thought, inducing a profound sense of isolation. August 15th, 0400 hours. The silence is a living thing. The pressure, it is inside us now, like our very thoughts are being squeezed. Some men weeping openly, others staring blankly at the glass-like sea. It feels as if time itself has slowed, each second an hour. God help us. The Nautilus eventually drifted out of the zone after 3 agonizing days, caught by a sudden, inexplicable current. Thorne, a man who had faced typhoons and icebergs with equanimity, was reportedly a changed man, haunted by the experience. He spoke of the silence as a predator and the pressure as the grip of the abyss. His ship, though physically intact, returned with a crew mentally scarred, their shared ordeal a chilling testament to the unseen, crushing force within the circle of eternal calm. It was not the storm that broke them, but the terrifying absence of everything. As if the suffocating pressure and temporal distortions were not enough, another, perhaps even more unsettling phenomenon has been reported from the periphery of the circle of eternal calm, an inhuman singing from the depths. This is not the song of sirens, nor the mournful wail of the wind. It is something far more primal, more resonant, a sound that seems to bypass the ears and vibrate directly within the bones. Accounts are rare, usually from vessels that graze the edge of the calm, or from those fortunate enough to escape its full embrace. The schooner Sea Witch in 1867 nearly became another statistic. Her first mate, a hardened veteran named Silas Blackwood, meticulously recorded the chilling experience in his private journal. September 22nd, 2300 hours. Becalmed, damn it all. Not a breath. Full moon, but light seems to die on the water. Eerie. 0:30 hours. A hum. Low. Almost subaudible, like the distant thrum of a colossal bell, but from beneath the waves. Not a ship's engine. Too deep. Too organic. The men are unnerved. 8:02 hours. The humming intensifies. It's a resonance, felt more than heard. A vibration through the hull, up through the deck. It feels like the sea itself is breathing. Some of the younger lads are pale, muttering prayers. 0300 hours. The hum has become a melody, not human, no discernible pattern, yet it has a cadence, a rhythm. It sounds like a lament or perhaps a chant from a forgotten age. It rises and falls, a chorus of deep, resonant tones. It feels as if it's inside my head, echoing in my skull. It's not of this world. It's not of any world I know. Blackwood's journal entries from that night grow increasingly agitated. He describes the sound as both profoundly beautiful and utterly terrifying, a paradox that gnawed at the sanity of the crew. Some sailors, overcome, clutched their heads, claiming the sound was driving them mad. Others simply stared at the mirrored surface of the water, transfixed by the unseen source of the deep-sea symphony. Dr. Eris Thorne, a contemporary acoustician and marine biologist who later studied Blackwood's accounts, theorized about an undiscovered species of colossal, deep-sea creature capable of producing infrasonic vocalizations that could disorient human perception. He posited that the unique conditions of the circle, its profound stillness and unusual pressure, might act as a natural amplifier, channeling these sounds to the surface with terrifying clarity. Yet this scientific explanation does little to diminish the chilling accounts. The singing was described as having an almost hypnotic quality, drawing the listener's gaze to the black, silent depths. It promised oblivion, Blackwood wrote in his final entry on the subject. A dark, peaceful embrace. I fought it. God, I fought it. The Sea Witch eventually caught a faint breeze and limped away, her crew shaken but alive. They carried with them not the scars of a storm, but the haunting echo of an unholy chorus from the abyss, a sound that suggested the circle of eternal calm harbored not just a void, but a living, silent, and singing terror within its unbreathing heart. The profound stillness and the unsettling singing within the circle of eternal calm are horrifying enough, but for those trapped within its embrace, the true terror lies in the disintegration of reality itself. Reports, chillingly consistent across disparate accounts, describe a zone where the very fabric of time and navigation unravels. One of the most harrowing testimonies comes from a tattered, water-damaged journal discovered years later in the wreckage of a small merchant brig that miraculously ran aground near the Azores. The journal, identified as belonging to a first mate named Alistair Finch, details the final, desperate days of the Orion as she drifted into the circle in the late 19th century. Finch's early entries are meticulous, charting their progress, but as the Orion entered the calm, his writing descends into a frantic, disjointed scrawl. Day 3 of calm. Compasses utterly useless. Needles spin like mad dervishes. No magnetic north. Stars seem wrong. Not where they should be, like the sky itself has shifted. Later. Chronometer stopped again. Tried winding. Nothing. My own pocket watch, a reliable Swiss piece, now runs backwards, then forwards randomly. Time, it flows differently here. Moments feel like hours. Hours like mere breaths. We are adrift in a temporal fog. Night. The singing from below is constant now. A low, mournful drone. But now, voices. Not the crew, alien. Whispering just beyond the range of hearing. Sometimes clear words, but in no language I know. They speak of emptiness, of the world forgetting. The alien voices Finch described were a common, terrifying thread among those who suffered the circle's effects. Not physical voices, but a chilling auditory hallucination, seemingly emanating from the depths, speaking in an unknown tongue, or sometimes more disturbingly, in a distorted echo of the crew's own thoughts. They were described as cold, detached, and utterly devoid of human warmth. The navigational chaos was equally devastating. Without compass or stars, adrift in a sea that offered no current, ships became utterly lost, their crews stripped of their most fundamental tools for survival. The Orion's log details futile attempts to row, the oars breaking the mirrored surface only to find no purchase, no resistance, as if the water itself had lost its density. Finch's final entry is a chilling testament to the utter despair that gripped the Orion. We are lost, not merely at sea, but lost from time. The voices, they promise a quiet end, a forgetting. They say this place is where the world lets go. We are being unmade. The Orion was never seen again. Her journal, a mere fragment, was a ghost message from a ship swallowed not by a physical force, but by a rupture in reality itself. The circle of eternal calm, it seems, is not just a killer of ships, but a destroyer of minds, unmooring its victims from the very laws of existence before consigning them to an oblivion so profound it erases even the memory of their passing. The circle of eternal calm, with its unique blend of unnatural stillness, crushing pressure, temporal distortion, and phantom voices, might seem an isolated, bizarre anomaly. Yet historical accounts hint at a recurring pattern of similar stillness anomalies across the globe, suggesting a pervasive, if poorly understood, phenomenon. The most famous, though often misunderstood example, is the Sargasso Sea. For centuries, this vast expanse of the North Atlantic, characterized by its unique ecosystem of floating sargassum seaweed, was feared by sailors, not for storms, but for its notorious calms and baffling currents that could trap sailing vessels for weeks, even months. While not as overtly supernatural as the Circle of Eternal Calm, the Sargasso Sea shared its core terrifying attribute, the silent, insidious threat of immobility. Ships would drift aimlessly, their crews slowly succumbing to thirst, starvation, or madness, their vessels becoming ghost ships, eventually swallowed by the very weeds that held them captive. Legends of ships found completely intact but deserted, with uneaten meals on tables, eerily echo the fate of vessels in the circle. Beyond the Sargasso, more localized, less documented dead spots have appeared in maritime lore. Off the coast of Japan, ancient fishing communities spoke of Umi Hotoke no Ba, Buddha's calm waters, where the sea would suddenly become perfectly flat and the air would grow heavy, accompanied by a profound, unsettling quiet. Fishermen who found themselves caught in these zones often reported a disorienting sense of timelessness and a strange, mournful humming from beneath their boats, eerily similar to the singing of the circle. Most would frantically row out of these areas, terrified of the silent, waiting depths. Those who failed to escape were simply never seen again. In the South Pacific, island navigators passed down oral traditions of the Sleeping Lagoon, a place where the vibrant coral seas would turn to an unnatural, oily black calm, and local fish and birds would flee, leaving an unnatural silence. While no large ships were ever reported lost there, the local canoes that ventured too close were said to drift into an endless dream. Their occupants found catatonic, or simply vanished. These disparate accounts, spanning continents and centuries, paint a consistent picture, zones of profound, unnatural calm, often accompanied by sensory distortions, navigational chaos, and the inexplicable disappearance of vessels and their crews. They are not merely localized weather phenomena. They are pockets of the ocean, where the very rules of the natural world seem to bend or break entirely. The Circle of Eternal Calm, therefore, is not an isolated horror, but perhaps the most extreme manifestation of a recurring global maritime enigma, a chilling reminder that the ocean holds secrets far deeper and far more unsettling than mere storms or monsters. Having established the consistent, terrifying patterns of the Circle of Eternal Calm, our investigation now turns to the desperate search for rational explanations. Could there be plausible scientific or oceanographic phenomena at play, masquerading as supernatural terror? One leading hypothesis centers on unique oceanographic conditions. The deep ocean is a realm of complex currents and thermoclines, layers of water with different temperatures. What if the Circle of Eternal Calm is the manifestation of a highly localized, stable, an unusually powerful anticyclonic eddy. These massive, rotating masses of water are known to exist, sometimes persisting for months or even years. An incredibly stable, slow-moving eddy could create a zone where surface currents are minimal, effectively trapping any vessel within its boundaries. The lack of wind could be explained by the eddy's influence on atmospheric pressure, perhaps creating a localized high-pressure zone that suppresses wind formation. Dr. Anya Sharma, a theoretical oceanographer, suggests such an eddy, if perfectly formed and sustained, could create the glassy surface. The pressure sensation could be a psychological response to the profound sensory deprivation, the absence of the familiar sounds and movements of the sea. Another theory posits the existence of massive, undiscovered benthic organisms, or geological activity. Beneath these zones, imagine colossal, slow-breathing organisms, perhaps a type of giant deep-sea mollusk or an unknown form of extremophile life, capable of manipulating water density or generating localized acoustic dampening fields. Their immense bulk could displace water, creating the bulges sometimes reported, and their biological processes might produce the musky odor or the inhuman singing through infrasonic vocalizations. Furthermore, rare geological formations, such as underwater methane seeps or dormant hydrothermal vents that periodically release vast quantities of gas, could create localized dead zones where the water's buoyancy is altered, or a temporary thick fog forms that traps sound and light, contributing to disorientation. The gas itself could be odorless, but its effect on the air's density could contribute to the feeling of pressure. These scientific conjectures attempt to strip away the supernatural veneer, offering grounding in the known, albeit extreme, possibilities of the natural world. While they struggle to fully account for the temporal distortions or the alien voices, they provide a framework for understanding how such a terrifying absence of chaos could exist, and how the ocean, even without supernatural intent, could become a silent, inescapable trap. The true horror, then, would not be a malevolent entity, but the indifferent alien power of nature itself, manifesting in a form that defies human comprehension and survival. While oceanographic conditions offer some explanations, they fall short of accounting for the more profound and unsettling phenomena reported from the circle of eternal calm, particularly the navigational madness and the extreme sensory distortions. This leads our investigation to consider geomagnetic and atmospheric hypotheses. One compelling theory focuses on anomalous magnetic fields. The Earth's magnetic field is not uniform. Localized anomalies, caused by concentrations of magnetic minerals in the crust or unusual geological structures, can exist. What if the circle of eternal calm sits above a particularly powerful and unstable magnetic anomaly? Such a field could wreak havoc on ships' compasses, causing the wild, erratic spinning reported by Captain Thorne of the Nautilus. Dr. Mei Lin, a geophysicist specializing in geomagnetism, postulates a highly fluctuating or localized magnetic field could induce strong currents in the ship's metal, affecting sensitive instruments and potentially even having subtle physiological effects on the crew, contributing to disorientation and a general sense of unease. This might also explain the failure of chronometers, as powerful magnetic interference could disrupt delicate mechanical movements. Beyond magnetism, unusual atmospheric conditions could play a significant role. The pressure phenomenon, the sense of the air growing thick and heavy, might be explained by an extreme form of atmospheric inversion or a localized pocket of unusually dense air. Such conditions could create a natural sound trap where sound waves are reflected and distorted, leading to the muffled voices and the unsettling inhuman singing that seems to resonate from the depths. Imagine a layer of cold, dense air trapped beneath warmer, lighter air. Sound waves could become trapped and amplified within this layer, creating bizarre auditory effects. The alien voices could be highly distorted echoes of distant natural sounds, the groan of a distant iceberg, the call of a deep-sea creature, or even the subtle creak of the ship itself, warped by these acoustic anomalies into something utterly unrecognizable and terrifyingly alien. Furthermore, These atmospheric conditions could contribute to the profound stillness. A stable, high-pressure system, intensified by an atmospheric inversion, would effectively flatten the air, suppressing wind and leaving the sea surface perfectly calm. The oppressive heat reported by some survivors could be due to trapped thermal energy within this stagnant, dense air mass. While these theories push the boundaries of known science, they remain within the realm of natural phenomena. They propose that the circle of eternal calm is not a supernatural entity, but a rare and terrifying convergence of extreme natural forces, a perfect storm of geophysical and atmospheric anomalies that combine to create a zone of profound, disorienting, and ultimately deadly stillness, where the very elements conspire to erase all trace of those who dare to enter. Having explored the boundaries of conventional scientific explanation, our investigation into the circle of eternal calm must now venture into the truly speculative. What if the phenomena observed within these zones of profound stillness transcend mere natural anomalies, hinting at something far more unsettling, something that challenges our fundamental understanding of reality itself? One of the most radical and terrifying theories posits the existence of localized dimensional shifts, or pockets of space-time operating under different laws. Imagine a region where the fabric of reality itself is thinned, distorted, or even temporarily disconnected from the rest of the world. In such a pocket, the normal rules of physics, including the flow of time and the behavior of electromagnetic forces, could be fundamentally altered. This could explain the wild compasses, the stopped chronometers, and the horrifying sensation of time stretching or compressing. If space itself is warping, the concept of north becomes meaningless. If time is fluid, the idea of a fixed moment ceases to exist. Dr. Evangeline Reed, a theoretical physicist and anomaly investigator, once mused in a private lecture, if a ship were to drift into such a temporal anomaly, it might not truly disappear in the conventional sense. It might simply cease to exist within our timeline, or be shunted into a parallel reality, leaving no trace in our own. The pressure and the inhuman singing could be interpreted differently in this context. The pressure might be the physical sensation of one's own reality being compressed or distorted by the surrounding warped space-time. The alien voices and inhuman singing could be echoes from another dimension, sounds leaking through the thinning veil between realities. Perhaps the desperate cries of other ships, other crews, caught in similar temporal traps across countless parallel universes, or even the unintelligible noise of cosmic forces operating beyond human perception. Another, perhaps even more unsettling idea is that the ocean itself, or a colossal, ancient entity within it, is capable of conscious, localized erasure. This is not a scientific theory in the traditional sense, but it resonates with the oldest myths of sentient seas and primordial beings. What if the circle of eternal calm is not a natural phenomenon, but a deliberate act, a blind spot created by an intelligence so vast and ancient that it perceives human vessels as mere ephemeral disturbances? The stillness, then, would not be an absence of energy, but a deliberate act of suppression, a silencing. The pressure, a manifestation of its immense will. The disappearance of ships, a simple, indifferent act of forgetting. In this terrifying scenario, the sea is not merely an indifferent force. It is a conscious, patient predator, and the circle is its maw, silently consuming all that intrudes upon its forbidden domain. These speculative theories offer no comfort. Instead, they elevate the mystery from a natural hazard to something far more profound and terrifying. They suggest that the circle of eternal calm is not merely a place where ships are lost, but a nexus where the very definitions of reality, time, and existence are challenged, reminding us that the deepest horrors may not be monstrous creatures, but the silent, unfathomable void itself. We have charted the unsettling evidence, the glassy, unmoving surface, the suffocating atmospheric pressure, the disorienting temporal shifts, the compasses spinning into madness, and the chilling, inhuman singing from the depths. Yet the profound terror of the circle of eternal calm lies not in these individual phenomena, but in what they collectively signify: a unique, insidious form of maritime oblivion. A hurricane announces its fury with screaming winds, mountainous waves, and the rending of timber. You fight it. You know your enemy. A hidden reef tears a ship open with a sudden, violent shock. A rogue wave crashes down, a brutal, overwhelming force. In these scenarios, there is a battle, a struggle, a desperate attempt to defy a palpable threat. Even a foundered wreck leaves a scar, a testament to its demise. The circle offers no such clarity, no such fight. It kills not with wrath, but with a horrifying, absolute negation. It is the absence of chaos, not its presence, that consumes. The horror is in the insidious quiet, the unnatural stillness that wraps around a vessel like a shroud. There is no desperate cry for help, for sound itself is muffled, absorbed by the heavy air. There is no frantic struggle against the elements, for the elements themselves have ceased to function. Ships that enter the circle are not dashed or broken. They are simply unmade. They are erased. The profound silence that descends is not peaceful. It is a void, a vacuum that sucks away not just the ship's momentum, but its very presence from the world. The pressure, the temporal distortions, the alien voices. These are not acts of violence, but symptoms of a profound unraveling. They are the psychological tolls of a reality that has begun to disconnect, to discard. Imagine drifting into such a zone. The familiar sounds of the ocean dying, the air growing impossibly heavy, your compass spinning wildly, your chronometer failing, and the terrifying realization dawning that you are no longer merely lost at sea, but lost from time itself. The circle of eternal calm is not a storm that sinks you, but a silent, waiting maw that simply absorbs you, leaving no trace, no wreckage, no ghost, to be forgotten by the sea, to be utterly erased from its vast, indifferent ledger, is a fate far more chilling than any violent end. It is to cease to exist, not just for the living, but for memory itself. The circle of eternal calm, a place of impossible stillness, of suffocating pressure, of time unmoored, and phantom voices from the abyss. Is it a rare confluence of extreme natural forces, a geomagnetic anomaly, or an undiscovered colossal life form lurking in the depths? Or does it hint at something far more profound, a tear in the fabric of reality, a localized dimensional shift, or even the unsettling possibility of the ocean itself as a conscious entity, capable of simply deciding to forget what it deems an intrusion? The truth remains submerged, hidden beneath that perfectly mirrored surface. The sea, in its vastness, still guards its most terrifying secrets, reminding us that even in the absence of storm and fury, there are depths of mystery that can consume all. What do you believe truly lies within the circle of eternal calm? Share your theories in the comments below.